Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make more money per hour worked on Fiverr. Because let's face it, I bet that for any of you not already making, say, $100 or more per hour on Fiverr would welcome the opportunity. Anyone would. Who wouldn't want to make more money per hour worked? We all do. So that's what I'm going to focus on in this video. I'm going to show you some of the best practices, workflows, and Fiverr tips that I use to make sure that I'm consistently earning over $100 per hour worked on my Fiverr business so that you can use them for your business as well. First things first, for you to get any value out of this video, if you're not already tracking your Fiverr orders, how much you've earned from every order, and how much time it takes you to complete each order, you need to start. Otherwise, you're just gonna have a really hard time figuring out how much money you're making per hour spent working on your Fiverr projects. And that's because Fiverr gigs are usually billed on a per project basis. So tracking the amount earned after Fiverr's 20% and the exact amount of minutes it's taking you to complete an order will give you an idea of what your true earning rate per hour is for different orders across your Fiverr business. Here's a Google sheet that I use to track my Fiverr orders. Mainly just focus on the headings and columns here. You can use this to create a sheet for yourself to track your own orders. The things I focus on tracking are the date the order was completed, the client name, as well as the type of business or industry they exist in. If you offer different gigs on Fiverr, I have a column that allows me to enter which specific gig they ordered, how many minutes it took me to complete the order, my earnings after Fiverr's 20%, and then I just have a column that calculates what that works out to be per hour. And it's these last couple columns that are most important for figuring out your hourly rate. You just need to divide your earnings by the number of minutes worked and multiply that by 60 to figure out your hourly rate for a particular project. And that's what I do with this sheet. So that's step one and the foundation for getting to the point where you might be able to make more than $100 per hour on Fiverr. It's starting to track all of your orders, how long it takes to complete, and your hourly rate. The second thing you're gonna wanna do actually is made possible only after you've started tracking your orders. That's getting into the habit of looking over the data you've collected in your spreadsheet over time and figuring out which gigs, types of projects, or business types you've worked with that are most profitable and offer you the highest ROI on your time, the highest hourly rate per project. And this isn't something you should just do once. It's something you should do regularly, right? If you're adding 3 or 4 completed projects into the sheet every week, every month, every 2 months, refer back to the sheet to see if you can identify any trends. Are there specific gigs that are earning you more than others? Look for things like that. And the real beauty with this is once you've started tracking enough gigs, right? Like more than just 1 or 2, you need to have a pretty big sample size so you can start spotting these trends. It'll help you make decisions based on, which gigs you might want to focus more of your time on if they're really profitable. If you find that there are some gigs that are earning you a really low hourly rate, you might want to consider modifying your prices, restructuring what's offered with that gig, or maybe scrapping the gig altogether. I found that this is a really great habit to get into, and since I started being really intentional about evaluating my Fiverr business in this way, it's allowed me to streamline my services offerings. I've added a lot of gigs over the years. I've scrapped a lot of gigs over the years based on data that I pulled from this sheet. There were some gigs that I was just spending way too much time on, and my time would have been better spent elsewhere. So it's allowed me to make those decisions to kind of hone in on the most profitable activities and scrap the activities that are wasting a lot of time. And that's allowed me to really skyrocket the amount I earn per hour for every hour worked on a Fiverr project. This is something I highly recommend for anyone taking Fiverr as a business seriously. So now that we've talked about the foundation of, starting to up your hourly rate on Fiverr, which is tracking and analyzing the data that you're putting into that spreadsheet, I'm now going to go over 3 really easy to implement Fiverr tips that can help you continue to optimize your process and increase the amount you're earning per hour. The first thing you should do, which might sound obvious, is to ensure that your gig is priced correctly. Now, it's important that you know that being priced correctly does not in any way mean making sure your gig is priced to be the cheapest. That's not at all what I mean here. And the reason I stress this is because I know that for a lot of you watching this channel, especially newer Fiverr sellers, a lot of people go with the strategy of being the absolute cheapest to get business. I also know that pricing gigs at $5 to get started and get your first couple 5-star ratings is also something that I've recommended for new Fiverr sellers. This video isn't really for brand new Fiverr sellers. This video is for sellers who have been doing it for a little while, who want to really level up and make more per hour. So keep that in mind. With that being said, after you've been selling your gig for a while, there comes a point where you should start to reevaluate to make sure you're priced correctly and not leaving money on the table. Here are a couple things I always try to consider when evaluating the prices of my gigs. The first thing, and this one is something that I spend a lot of time on, is trying to think about what value my gig brings to my clients and whether or not that value is worth more to them than what they're paying for my gig. The second thing I think about is what do my closest competitors charge? And then I look at what do the most premium, high-cost competitors in my niche charge, and what can I do to make sure that I can also charge that much? If there's any gap in my services offerings or my experience, I focus on the things I can do and the skills that I can attain so that I can start charging that much as well. Third thing I think about when evaluating my gig pricing is how many hours or how many minutes it takes me to complete each order. If my hourly rate for a particular gig isn't at a point that I think is fair or something that I think is worth my time, I'll either reevaluate the price of that gig or scrap it altogether. The fourth thing I look at really closely is whether or not there are new gig extras I can add or start offering that'll help increase my average order value without dramatically increasing the time to complete each order. These are the things I consider when looking at my gig pricing, and if you start considering them, they might be things that give you some insight into how you might want to move the needle with the pricing on your Fiverr gigs. And remember, the ultimate goal should always be to continue to offer value to your clients, but to optimize your offering so you are maximizing the amount you're making per hour. And that's how you increase your hourly rates. The second quick tip that you can do that will definitely help you increase how much you're earning per hour on Fiverr is to take advantage of the gig requirements questions. A huge part of being able to up the amount of money you're earning per hour is minimizing the amount of interaction, the amount of back and forth you have with clients when you get an order. Gig requirements, straight up, are the best tool we have available on Fiverr today to do this. And just to give you an idea of how powerful gig requirements can be, in my own Fiverr business, I've done many orders over the years that have resulted in 5-star ratings where I've never even spoken to the client. Seriously. This has been made possible 100% by me having carefully thought out and very thorough gig requirements. Less is not more when it comes to gig requirements. More is more. I usually have anywhere from 5 to 10 or even more gig requirements questions that are mandatory for my buyers to fill out every time they place an order. It's important to get me the information I need to know almost 100% what I need to know to complete the project without speaking to the client. That saves me a ton of time and allows me to quickly complete orders. So here's a quick list of some of the goals you should be having with the information you're trying to gather from your clients with your gig requirements based on the types of gigs you might be offering. First and most obvious is always ask questions that help you understand what your client's business does. Second, also pretty obvious, is you should include gig requirements questions that help you understand what the client's goal is from hiring you. The third, and this is based on the gig and the service you're providing, is ask any questions you need to ask to give you the information you need to complete the project for them. Fourth type of gig requirement question that is super helpful is to ask them to provide examples of what they might be looking for out of you and also examples of what they might not be looking for out of you, like if they've done projects in the past that didn't work out. Another good one is to ask whether or not they have any competition and for them to list their competition so you can use that in your research. And if the service you're offering is sales or marketing related, it's usually really helpful for you to have them, in their own words, explain their company's value proposition so you can use that when completing the project. Third quick tip you can implement to increase the amount you're making per hour on Fiverr is to take advantage of delivery templates. Creating professional looking templates that you can use on every order where you just slot in your completed work and deliver using the template can save you an insane amount of time. And I should clarify, I'm not talking about using templates that you use to complete every order where you just slot in stuff and that's the order. That's not what I'm talking about. You got to do the work per the client. When I'm talking about templates, I'm talking about professional documentation, delivery messages, information on next steps, information that outlines potential upsell opportunities. Create these things almost like a media kit. So when you complete a project, you send the project to the client with your delivery template, and it includes all the information they might need after completing an order with you. So not only do delivery templates save a ton of time, because I know that when delivering an order, sometimes there's a bunch of typing that's involved, outlining how to use the completed project, maybe a little bit of upsell, and typically, including myself when I started, you would write this from scratch for every client. So not only does it save a lot of time, it's shown in my business to have increased the number of 5-star ratings I get, and also has resulted in a lot of either upsell or referral business from my existing client base, which is hugely valuable. So spend some time building templates that you can use to deliver the different types of gigs or orders you complete. It might take you some time, but put some, tender loving care into it. Make it professional. Give it like a brand theme so that your clients feel that you're like a top level professional. It'll save you time. It'll save them from asking you for questions. I've found that it's even reduced the amount of revision requests I get because it just builds a higher level of trust and it makes the client more likely to just accept the order. It's worth the time. Put in the time to build some delivery templates, and that'll help you save time so you're making more money on Fiverr for every hour you spend working. All right, so the things I talked about in this video are pretty much the foundation and the things I focus on most when trying to increase the amount of money I'm making for every hour I spend working on Fiverr. I'm at the point now where I regularly pass $200, $220 per hour spent on my Fiverr projects, and the reason that's been possible is because I've taken the time to figure out ways where I can streamline my process, saving time, increasing the value of my orders, and doing better work and having happier client interactions. Less revisions means you're making more money per hour because you're not wasting time redoing projects. So I really hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about any of the tips I mentioned in this video, leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, cheers.